ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवम्। भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धा स्वान्तस्थमीश्वरम्। Welcome to class. Last week, we'll take a look at what we did. Sorry, 2 weeks ago, we'll take a look at what we did. We went further along this train of thought, which was, Bhagwan, please forgive me that I have not done sadhana to reach you in all sorts of ways. In verse 7, there was the continuation of the idea of I did not give you any offering in the type of puja that I did, specifically Shodashopachar Puja. Bhagwan, forgive me. Everything you've given me in life, all wonderful things, I give these things to myself. I treat myself with them, but I have not worshipped you with these 16 essential steps. Then in verse 8, we saw all 6 or 7 different types of sadhanas. If you'll remember, in verse 5, when this topic first came about how to do sadhana, I said that verse 5 contains the entire journey of sadhana from beginning to end. And then this verse itself is elaborated from 6 through 10. So you can see now how when it says that I did not do your smarta karma, that is shown in I did not do any dana, I did not do any, I did not meditate on you before any sort of puja or any sort of worship of you. And then when it says I didn't do any shrota karma, that is contained in the second line. I didn't do any havan, havyamte. I did not do any havan with the correct bija mantras from the Shastra. So these ideas are now expanded in the following verses. And then in the third pada of verse 5, it said, I didn't do your shravana, manana, and nididhyasana. And then the pathway to nididhyasana, as elaborated by the yoga mark, is given in verse 9. So we saw that Bhagavan, I'm asking for your forgiveness because I didn't withdraw the mind. I didn't sit in one place, control myself, withdraw the mind, and engage in the Ashtanga Yoga to know you. And we also saw that though we may not have the advice of an actual yogi to move the prana and the kundali and all that, still the Ashtanga Marg is a valid sadhana paddhati for us. And its accumulation we saw in the beautiful story of Swami Akhandanandji Maharaj's vision of Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So this is in short what we did last 2 weeks ago. So we'll move forward now to the last verse of this thought flow. We've now opened this idea that Bhagwan, I have not done your sadhana. So what is the ultimate, what is the final point? Shravana, Manana, then Nididhyasana. If you remember, I had defined Nididhyasana as Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha, a flow of one type of thought. One type of thought. In terms of knowledge, that thought will be, I am Brahman. In terms of bhakti, that thought will be the thought of the Lord, the object of my worship and my love. So if we see verse 10, we will see that it is an unbroken flow on the thought of Lord Shiva, both in Saguna form and in Nirguna form. It beautifully combines both of these aspects. Not only does the verse say, Bhagwan, I'm sorry, I did not meditate on you ever. I did not focus my mind on you. It also actually shows us how to do that. All the ways we can visualize Bhagwan, meditate on Bhagwan. It's a most beautiful verse, verse number 10. So repeat after me. We'll chant it together. Nagno nisanga shuddhaha triguna virahitaha dhvastamohandhakaraha Nagno nisanga shuddhastriguna virahitaha dhvastamohandhakaraha No nisanga shuddhastriguna virahitaha dhvastamohandhakaraha Nasagre न्यस्तदृष्टिः विदितभवगुणः नैव दृष्टः कदाचित् नासाग्रे न्यस्तदृष्टिर्विदितभवगुणः नैव दृष्टः कदाचित् नासाग्रे न्यस्तदृष्टिर्विदितभवगुणः नैव दृष्टः कदाचित् उन्मन्यावस्थया त्वाम् उन्मन्यावस्थया त्वाम् विगतकलिमलम् शङ्करं न स्मरामि उन्मन्यावस्थया त्वां विगतकलिमलं शङ्करं न स्मरामि वस्थया त्वां विगतकलिमलं शङ्करं न स्मरामि क्षन्तव्यो मे पराधः शिव 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 भोः श्रीमहादेव शम्भो क्षन्तव्यो मे पराधः शिव 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 भोः श्रीमहादेव शम्भो The first word is nagnaha, naked. Sometimes this word is also said as digambaraha, the one whose clothes are the directions, the 8 directions. Or chidambaraha, the ones whose clothes or vastra is chit, consciousness. It's a very beautiful idea. Although sometimes Lord Shiva is literally portrayed as Nagnaha, actually Nagnaha is elaborated throughout the whole first line. Nagnaha actually means Nisanga Shuddha, purity that is unattached from anything. Nisanga Shuddha. This word actually points to Nirguna Swarupa of Lord Shiva. That Satchit Ananda, that is totally unattached from anything, that is not even touched by Maya, although Maya appears upon it. Untouched, unblemished, with even a little bit of tamas, a little bit of anything, that is Bhagwan Shiva's Swarupa, true nature. Again, that is elaborated as triguna virahitaha, free of the three gunas, meaning free of Maya and the effects of Maya. We say Maya is trigunatmika, has three gunas. You all must know, sattva, rajas, tamas. But what this means actually is this. Tamas creates for us avarana, covering, non-apprehension. We don't know our true selves. That is the effect of tamas in Maya on us. We don't know our true selves. We are ignorant. Then after tamas comes the play of rajas, misapprehension, vikshepa. There's this multitudinous variety. And I am one thing in that. And I have a relation with each thing in this variety. That is the play of rajas. It creates multiplicity and it places me very firmly in that. Not only there's multiplicity in the world, there's multiplicity in here. I am young, I am old, sometimes I'm happy, I'm sad. All this is because of the first, the tamas. I don't know who I am. Then the rajas starts to project. But there's a third part to Maya, and that's sattva. And the sattva is that knowledge. That is also in Maya, right? The knowledge of I am not this thing that I'm seeing. Actually, my true self is Brahman. This is the three ways that the three shaktis of Maya, how they work. Bhagwan is free from all of that. Neither is he ignorant, obviously, nor is he in many forms. He's of homogeneous form. And nor does he need knowledge. He's Jnana Swarupa. He is that knowledge which is beyond the mind, which is beyond the intellect, that transcendental I, that pure awareness. That is Bhagavan, Triguna Virahita. And therefore, he is Nisangaha, completely unattached from anything. Again, an elaboration on Nagna is Dvasta Mohandhakaraha, has completely destroyed, Dvasta Nasha has completely destroyed the ignorance of all sorts of delusions. The main delusion is one of ignorance, of course, but any sort of wrong notion, any sort of wrong vyavahara, anything, Bhagwan has destroyed all of that within himself. And of course, he's beyond all of that, abiding ever in his own self. This is the first line, is the description of Bhagwan in his Nirguna Swarupa, as Parabrahman. Then we come down one level and see Bhagwan as Ishvara in the second pada. Nasagre nyasta drishti. You'll see how beautifully it's concretized here in this murti. Nasagre nyasta drishti means the vision is focused on the tip of the nose, meaning ardha unmilita, the eyes are half closed. Half Bhagavan is always in meditation. Nasagre nyasta drishti. Vidita Bhavagunaha, and as the Ananta Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, as the leader, as the Shasak, as the controller of infinite Brahmandas, Vidita Bhavagunaha, he knows the whole universe in its entirety, in general and in specific. He knows everything. Naiva Drishtaha Kadachita. This sort of Bhagavan, I have never seen that. I have never visualized this Bhagwan in my mind. Naiva, never, kadachita, never have I ever sat down Bhagwan and have I thought about who you are, what you are. Have I contemplated on you? Have I tried to find you in my own heart? Bhagwan, forgive me. I have never done this. And in what way should I do that? That's the third pada. Unmanyavasthaya. Unmanyavasthaya means in an unmanyavasthaya is in third case. Tritiya means in a particular way. In that state, avastha, in which I am totally absorbed in you. I've never absorbed my mind in you, Bhagavan. Unmanyavasthaya tvam, in you, who is vigata kalimalam. Here I am, a creature of Kali Yuga, suffering of all sorts of problems of Kali. But you, who can save me from all this, because you are Vigata Kalimalam, you are free from all of the dirt or all of the disturbance of Kali. Shankaram, that sort of Lord Shiva, Nasmarami, I have never remembered in my meditations. Kshantavyo me paradha Shiva 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 Bho. Bhagwan, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me that I have never meditated on you. As you can see in the first two lines, there's a continuous flow of Bhagwan's nature. One, that Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha, I was talking about this uninterrupted thought about Bhagwan's nature. Who is he? That has never entered my mind. Bhagwan, please, please forgive me. So let's look at these words a little bit closer. We saw Nagnaha, Nisanga Shuddha, and Dhvasta Mohandhakara. We saw that. Let's look at this word moha in the last line, dhvasta mohandhakara. This is very important because only one who has destroyed their moha can actually guide me out of my moha. Otherwise, it becomes like blind leading the blind in the world. I'm looking to other people in moha to cure me of my moha. There was something very beautiful that my acharya said when we were learning Guru Stotram, our very first devotional text. He said, you know, the Guru is the only one who can show us that there's an end to knowledge. All other types of knowledge in the world, secular knowledge, you will see that there's never any end to it. You enter and you actually end up with more questions than answers. The field of any sort of science, any sort of history, any social science you take, you enter, and you see it just grows and grows in what we don't know. I studied biology in college. The more knowledge I got, I realized the more moha I had because you don't know the ultimate cause. It's just one cause after another cause, after another cause, after another cause. It is only the Satguru, only the Guru of Brahma Vidya who can say, yes, by knowing this, you will know everything. This will end all your moha forever. There's nothing more for you to seek, nothing more for you to know. That really is dhvasta mohandakara. Otherwise, we roam about in the world and there's always more to know. There's always more to do. There's always more to seek. There's always more to research. Even the most sattvika field of research, it never ends and it will never end. What will actually end our moha, what will actually end our ignorance is the knowledge of the self, knowing which we will know everything. And Lord Shiva, Bhagwan Lord Shiva, not only he is the one who is that pure knowledge, he also comes in the form of the Guru to teach us. So this is Dhvasta Mohandakara. Then we should take also a look at the word Na Sagre Nyasta Drishtihi. Although in the field of yoga, Patanjali yoga, actually there is a way to focus the eyes on the tip of the nose and it has a certain benefit. That is all true. We should understand the more practical meaning of it. Nasagre nyasta drishtihi means Bhagwan looks at the world with the inner vision. He sees the entire universe with the inner vision of the self. As he is interacting with the world, his eyes are half open and half closed. He interacts with the world, yet he's always looking within, seeing the world as a reflection of his own self. Guruji, when in his talks on this text, he said, there's a line by Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya ji, Drishtim jnanamayim kritva pashyedidam jagata. Having made one's vision full of knowledge, then only we should see the world. Otherwise, how do we see with the vision of ignorance? You are different, I am different. You're better, I'm worse. You're worse, I'm better. We're different. It becomes different. We're all different, all separate. It's honestly a pathetic vision that tortures us day in and day out. But a jnanamayi drishti, that you and I are one. Or at least you and I are both beloved children of the same God, at least that much knowledge. That is something that uplifts us and it cures us from this samsara roga, the sickness of samsara, where we are fighting for ourselves. We want to prove ourselves. We want to fight. We want to get better than others. We want to make our way in the world. We want to survive. For what? It never ends. Only this jnanamay drishti can save us. And Bhagwan, having that jnanamay drishti, can give that to us. That he is the one, he can show us how to look at the world the way he does. If we find him in our heart, we will slowly see him everywhere. That is nasagre nyasta drishtihi. Now, vidita bhavagunaha. This is a very interesting word because vidita bhavagunaha makes it seem like Bhagwan is a person, right? That's what the word sounds like, the one who knows the universe in its entirety. But we shouldn't forget that Ishvara is not, an individual. Though we love Bhagwan in the form, Ishvara actually is totality. And I want to refer to Shiv Mahimna Stotram. There's a beautiful verse that talks about Bhagwan's vapu, Bhagwan's body, and how actually Bhagwan's whole body is this universe. That's how he knows the universe, not as a person who sees, but being the totality, he knows the totality. So this is from verse 17 from Shiv Mahimna Stotram. I'll chant it and then I'll tell you the meaning. Vyadvyapitara ganagurnitaphenodkamaruchihi Pravaho varanyaha prishatalagudrishtashirasite Jagadvipakaram jaladhivalayam tena kritamiti Anenaivonneyam dhritamahima divyam tava vapuh. Very beautiful. It says, first, it takes us to Vyadvyapi, that Akasha Ganga, what we call as the Milky Way, that Akasha Ganga. See how gigantic she is, how Vyapi, how she pervades the whole space. She is so, so huge. And she, when she came onto earth, she became Jagadvipakaram. When she came on earth, she made dvipas. She made continents of this whole world. That is how huge and pervasive she is. Yet, that, that Ganga, Akasha Ganga, and that huge Ganga on earth is but Prisha Tala Drishta Laghu, that tiny little drop of water sparkling in your jata. That is, when we see that, that is your Divyam Vapuhu. That is how your divine body is. That this huge Akasha Ganga, this magnificent ocean, and this Ganga that created that ocean, that's just a little drop of a drop of a drop in your jata. That is the magnitude of Bhagwan's Vapu, of Bhagwan's body. He is totality. He is everything. So how does he know everything? Not as a person who knows, not as somebody who has some special powers, but being the self of all, he knows all. In every dust particle, he knows that, being the self of the dust particle. And being the self of the sun, the moon, the planets, he knows them. Biggest of the big, smallest of the small. We saw last week, or 2 weeks ago, we saw how Bhagwan Shri Krishna told Akarnananji Maharaj that, in every atom is my Ras Leela happening. Every atom, like that. So that is the deeper significance of Vidita Bhavagunaha. Not just knowing as knowledge, but knowing as the self, shining in everything in the world, pervading the whole world. That is Bhagavan. Now, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Naiva drishta kadachita unmanyavasthayatvam. Unmanyavasthayatvam means I am raising my mind to the level of no mind. It is a level of total absorption. At first, I will, in dhyana, if you will remember, when I was talking about Ashtanga Yoga, there's a period in meditation where we have to focus hard. That it becomes, it's an effort. I'm putting my mind towards Bhagwan and it breaks in between. Then the next stage is when that becomes sahaja, when I don't have to try anymore. When the form or the idea or the thought of knowledge or of Bhagavan is just fixed in my mind. And I don't have to think. I don't have to put attention towards it. But there's an even further stage known as samadhi, where even the mind disappears. It is absorbed into the object of knowledge, where only Bhagwan remains. I also don't remain. The knowledge of Bhagwan doesn't remain. Only Bhagwan remains. That is the height of unmanyavasthayata. I'm not just sitting and focusing, though we will do that in the beginning, and we should do that. But the height of that is when Bhagwan alone remains. I am also not there. Nothing else is there. That is the fruition of meditation. Unmanyavasthaya tvam vigata kalimalam shankaram nasmarami. Bhagwan, I did not remember you. So now you can see all the different shades to shankaram nasmarami. We saw this in the Balyavastha Bhagwan. I never even thought of you because I was terrorized by the elements. In old age, Bhagwan Shankaram Nasmarami because I was terrorized by my own desires. I wanted all sorts of things. Now, even on the path of sadhana, Shankaram Nasmarami, Bhagwan, I did not absorb myself in you. Even that high level of remembrance, I didn't do that. So this is how Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya Ji took us from birth to death, or rather from birth to birth. And then from the beginning of sadhana, from Shrota Smarta Karma, all the way up to the height of Nididhyasana, which is Samadhi. That is the total journey of sadhana. In all these ways, Bhagwan, I did not absorb myself in you. I did not dedicate myself to you. And for that, Bhagwan, I'm sorry. I did not do that. Now Bhagwan says, enough. How much I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Now we got to move on. What are you going to do about it now? What next? If you remember, we had said, what are the 4 steps? Let's see who remembers. The first step is aparadha. I understand my aparadha. Next step is paschatapa. Paschatapa, regret. I regret. Bhagwan, I'm sorry, I didn't do the right thing. Then I do kshamayachana, forgiveness. And the last step now is prayashchitta. Prayashchitta. Now, Bhagwan, I have to make a change. I will now resolve. Remember, there are 2 parts of prayashchitta. That chitta part is most important. I'm going to put my mind to you. I will turn my mind towards you. This is my resolve. If we truly, truly regret what we did, it will result in a change in behavior. And the magnitude of the change reflects the magnitude of the regret. If we really ask for forgiveness, if we are truly ashamed of what we have done and how we have lived, then we will change. And this, Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya is so compassionate that he even shows us how to do that. And so now this marks a turn, verse 11 marks a turn in how do we turn our mind towards Bhagwan? This is how it's shown to us. And now the voice also changes. So far, the devotee was speaking to Bhagwan. Kshantavyo me paradha. Bhagwan, you calling out to Bhagwan, Shiva, 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 Bho. Now you will see that the conversation is changing. Now I am speaking to my own mind. Of course, this verse also can be interpreted as, Mahatmas always only speak to their own mind. But sometimes the guru will instruct the shishya. We can take this as Bhagwan Bhashyakar, Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya Ji speaking to us. Or as any sant, any great person will speak to all seekers. They will advise any seeker throughout the times. These are the different ways you can look at this verse. But the key turn is now we have stopped speaking to Bhagwan and now we're speaking to ourselves. This is now the turn within, the resolve to change our behavior. So let's chant this verse. Chandrodbhasita shekhare smarahare Gangadhare shankare Sarpair kanthakarna vivare Netrotthavaishvanare. दन्ते त्वकृतसुन्दराम्बरधरे दन्ते त्वकृतसुन्दराम्बरधरे त्रैलोक्यसारे हरे हरे मोक्षार्थं कुरु चित्तवृत्तिमखिलाम् चित्तवृत्तिमखिला अन्यैस्तु किं कर्मभिः Together चन्द्रोद्भासितशेखरे स्मर हरे गङ्गाधरे शङ्करे सर्पैर्भूषितकण्ठकर्णविवरे नेत्रोत्थवैश्वानरे दन्ते त्वकृतसुन्दराम्बरधरे त्रैलोक्यसारे हरे मोक्षार्थं कुरु चित्तवृत्तिमखिलाम् अन्यैस्तु किं कर्मभिः. The verbal component in this verse is kuru, do. It's a command. Do this now. So clearly we are not talking to Bhagwan. He has forgiven us. He's done his part. Mokshartham kuru. It's speaking to our own mind. What should we do? Chitta vrittim akhilam mokshartham kuru. In the fourth pada, I am chitta vrittim akhilam. Our entire chitta vritti, our entire mind, and all of its manifestations should be put towards moksha, mokshartham. We should push them towards the idea or the pursuit of liberation. And why should we do it? Anyaihi tu kim karmabhi, anyaihi karmabhi kim. What will I do doing anything else? This is the key of this verse, actually. What is worth it out there in the world? Really, what is there? We all really, really have to think about what is worth it in this world other than Bhagwan. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We have seen for 10 verses, we have seen how we have suffered and how we have avoided the only good thing in life, which is sadhana. And what have we gained out of it? Nothing but misery. Nothing. If we gain something, then we're scared about losing it. If we lose something, we're desperate to gain it. That is the only thing we are in pursuit of. Round and round and round and round. Samsara chakra. Guruji, Guruji is so funny. Was talking about in this, he said, we have to collect our mind in one place and we have to put it towards Bhagwan. And he said, you know, people want both things. They want Vedanta Vichar, they want to study Vedanta Shastra also. And then he said, you know, I also want to open a shopping mall for shoes. He says, why? What? Don't bluff. He said, literally, he said, don't bluff. He said, you can't. He said, then they say, I'll do that with a spiritual attitude. He said, that won't happen. That won't happen. Already for 10 verses, we've said, Bhagwan, I'm sorry, I've ignored you. Now we're looking for more ways to ignore him. No, we have to think. We have to think very carefully. One may ask, okay, I'm not really seeing this. I really think that by other things I can gain something. I don't have that type of vairagya yet. Then what we have to do is something called dosha drishti. Dosha drishti. We have to look at every material thing in the world and see its dosha, its fault. Everything will have a fault. Even the most sattvic thing will have a fault because it's a limited object in the world. I'll give you the example again of research. I was in college and many professors told me, oh, you have a career in academia. You have a book project from your thesis. And you know, I sat down and I looked at the research that I did. I really examined it. I was writing paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of words, pages and pages, to convince somebody of the possibility of looking at a certain branch of literature in a certain way. That's all I was doing, convincing someone of the possibility. Then they said, once you convince them, then you can build on your argument further. Then you can look at then you can take other pieces of literature. Then you can analyze this. Then you can write another book. And I thought, where does this end? Where does this finish? Why don't, well, there's no end to this. Publication after publication, paper after paper, to convey the idea that's in my head to your head. Why? I thought enough of this. I'm going to the Vedanta course. It's limited. There's a dosha in it. Not that it's evil or bad, but it won't fulfill me. That ache in my heart, it won't fill that. That feeling of finitude, it won't release me from that. It's just another trap. There's a great verse in Viveka Chudamani. We already looked at Doshena Tivro Vishayaha, Kuranga Patanga, but we looked at many verses. But I'll give you one more about this particular topic. Sharira Poshanarthi san, ya atmanam didrikshaye, graham daru dhaya dhritva, nadim tartum sagachati. Ya atmanam didrikshaye, the one who seeks the self, the one who wants to see the self. Sharira poshanarthi san, while being someone who wants to nourish and pamper the body. What is that person like? Graham daru dhiya dhritva, nadim tartum sagachati. He wants to go across the river. And instead of, he confuses a shark for a log of wood and holds that to cross the river. Powerful example, right? That's what we try to do. We say, I want to see the Atma, I want to know Bhagwan, and then we pamper the body, the not self. We want all sorts of accomplishments for our ego. How will both of those two things go together? And then, like how that person thought the shark was a harmless log, we try to disguise our seeking as something that's harmless. We say we will do it for Bhagwan. We will dedicate it to him. But we have to be honest. Is it for him or is it for me? And then when I hold on to that graham, that shark, what will it do to me? It'll consume me. These things out in the world that I'm seeking, they will consume me and they will make me forget the self. They will make me forget my true aim. Graham darudhiya. Darudhiya means with the idea that it is a log, confusing it for a log. Graham, a shark or an alligator or whatever, grasping that. So we have to be very clear. Anyaistu kim karmabhi. What else is there in the world? And we should sit down and we should analyze. And we should take the help of great works like Viveka Chudamani, like Bhajagovindam, that teach us how to do dosha drishti. And look at the world and say, really? No, I don't want anything to do with that. Now, having done all that, if I still have responsibilities in the world, then I must do them. But I must only do that much which is necessary. Only that much which is necessary, and that responsibility, that dharma, we've already seen, that dharma is worship of the Lord. So we have to be very clear that we are not pursuing anything new for myself. Bhagwan, I'm only doing what you have given me as a jiva, my responsibility. I clear that, and Bhagwan, the minute I am free, I'm coming to you. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing all this dharma to, attain something for myself. I'm not a sharira poshanarthi, Bhagwan. Bhagwan, I'm doing it for you. The minute you release me, I'm done. I won't ask for anything else. That is the way we get out of this cycle. But we have to be very clear. Anyaistu kim karma bhihi. We should think about this. I'll come back to the sadhana of the week, but this is it. Anyaistu kim karma bhihi. After we realize that, then it's very easy to do mokshartham kuru chitta vritti makhinam. Then when the mind is convinced that there's nothing worth it in the world outside, the mind by itself will collect itself and propel itself into the direction of moksha, or in the direction of Bhagwan. And then we can do what happens in the first three padas of this verse. This, again, is a flow of different ways of seeing Bhagwan. And this is actually a complete visualization of Bhagwan. It's wonderful for meditation. It's wonderful for a contemplation. And each of these words has a very deep meaning. So we'll go word by word and then we'll dive in. So Chandrodbhasita Shekhare. You'll notice all of these words end in A. Shekhare, Smarahare, Dhare. That is the locative case. In this. So that means in this Bhagavan, Chitta Vrittim Kuru. In that Bhagavan, put the mind. Put the mind. Why? Mokshartham. For the sake of moksha, for the sake of liberation. So the first one, Chandrodbhasita Shekhare. One in that one whose jata is udbhasita, is lit up by the Chandra, by the moon. In Smarahare, the one who defeated Smara. Smara is Kamadeva, the one who defeated or burnt up Kamadeva. Gangadhare, the one who bears Ganga Devi, Ganga Maya on his head. Shankara, in that Bhagwan who is Shamkaroti, who is all auspiciousness. Sarpaihi bhushita kantha karna vivare, the one whose throat and ears are decorated with snakes, in that Bhagwan. Netrotha Vaishwanare, in that Bhagwan from whose eyes comes that fire of Jnana, Jnanagni, in that Bhagwan. Danti Tvak Krita Sundaram Baradhare. Okay, pause. We will do a quick Sanskrit lesson. When we have a big word like this, we should go from back to front. So dhare, in that one who wears. What? Ambara, clothes. Sundara, that are beautiful. Krita, because they are made out of tvak, the skin, danti, of an elephant. You see how I went word by word behind? So in that Bhagwan who is wearing the beautiful clothes that are made out of the skin of an elephant. Trailokyasare, in that one who is the essence of the three worlds. Hare, in that one who hara, who takes away everything, who takes away my ignorance, who takes away my suffering, who takes away my wrong notions, who takes me away and brings me to himself. That is Hare. So that's the simple meaning. Let's go word by word and let's see what this actually is referring to. What are the deeper meanings of all of these words? Now, a word of caution. Sometimes, this is something I notice, it's very good to understand the symbolism of all of our gods and goddesses. Very good. We should know that. What we should be careful of is we shouldn't say that, this is why it's meaningful. The symbolism is why it's meaningful. No. Bhagwan is like that, and so he's perfect. That is the baseline. He's described like that in Veda and our Shastra, period. That's enough for us. We don't need to justify anything. Sometimes we like to compete, I don't know, with Western ideas, and we like to say, see how deep our Shastra is. See, it's just as deep as the Western ideas. See, there's so much symbolism. Yeah, there is symbolism, but that's not what makes it valuable. It is valuable inherently. Bhagwan's form is valuable inherently. It is perfect as is. It's not perfect because of the symbolism. It is perfect and therefore there is symbolism. And we look for that symbolism for our own growth. But we should never try to prove to others that, this is why it's so great. No, he's great. With faith, we must take. This is how he is, our Bole Baba. And he's perfect. Okay, with that caveat, now we'll go into the symbolism because it is important and we should know for our own selves. Chandrodbhasita Shekhare. So the Chandra has two meanings, the moon. One is it represents like how the earth on a very hot day, like maybe today, at night when the moon comes, the earth is heated up. But the moon's cooling rays, himamshu, the moon's cooling rays will soothe the earth and bring down the temperature. In the same way, I am burnt up by the fire of samsara. We discussed in the previous verse, the fire of samsara. I am possessed by desires, by urges. I'm running helter-skelter, trying to find some little bit of happiness. But that Chandra represents Bhagwan's cooling nature, that he douses the fires in my heart and he brings me to peace and fulfillment. That's one. The other thing the moon is the moon delights. Ahladeti. The moon, anywhere you see, the moon is delightful. There's a surge of joy when we see the moon. Similarly, Bhagwan is the source of all ahlad, all delight, all joy. And forever, he is delighting my mind. That is the significance of this. Then Smarahare. We all know the story. I won't get into the story in detail, but when Parvati Devi was serving Lord Shiva, the Devatas were very impatient and Indra said, go, Kamadeva, go, try to make this union happen faster. We need their son to kill the Asura. So Kamadeva goes and he had great pride that the whole world dances according to his will, which is right. He's not wrong. The whole world dances according to desire. But Bhagwan is the one who is beyond. He has that jnana agni, that fire of knowledge. And it's so symbolic that desire is burnt in the fire of knowledge. Think, will we desire anything if we know ourselves? No, right? All of our desire comes from apuranata, a sense of lack, a sense of incompleteness. When that inner fire of knowledge consumes our incompleteness, that will be the end of all desires. That is what this episode reminds us of. And Bhagwan, not only does he represent that knowledge in its totality, he is self-knowledge, he is the self, but he is also that guru who comes and instructs us. He comes in the form of the guru and gives us that Brahma Vidya that will help us burn this desire. That's Barahare and Netrotha Vaishvanare, both of them. One thing to note is that, we can get any sort of desire in the world that we want, but there's only one who can make us desireless. Desireless, the desire to end all desires. So yes, we may desire Bhagavan, but that's the only desire worth having because it's the desire to end all desires. Then Gangadhare. Ganga Maya, here she also represents knowledge. Once Gurudev gave a beautiful vyakhya about Gangaji coming to earth, and he described Ganga Maya as pure knowledge. In the similar way, Lord Shiva is the upholder or the one who is always steeped in that knowledge. And in a flow, in the Guru Shishya Parampara, he gives that knowledge continuously, like the flow of Gangaji from his head. Another important meaning of Gangaji is that she purifies us of all papa. So Bhagwan has the ability, all our limitations, all of our mala, all of our vices, everything he can remove. Just by his remembrance, he can remove that. And then Sarpair Bhushita Kantha Karana Vivare. This is very interesting. Why does Bhagwan wear snakes? Sarpa, sarpati iti sarpaha. That which moves continuously is sarpa. Sarpati iti sarpaha. So many things are represented by the snake. One is Kala. Time is always moving. So that Kala, Bhagwan is the Lord of time, you can say. And he keeps it, he wears it. It's almost his adornment. He's completely beyond it. He's in complete control of it. That's one meaning. The other meaning is that the snake represents the mind that is constantly moving, searching, seeking. And that mind, which is otherwise so venomous and so deadly, on Bhagwan Shiva's body becomes absolutely docile and calm. Showing how if we make our mind completely absorbed in Bhagwan, it also will become as docile and calm as those snakes. It also is torturing me, it's venomous, it's terrible. But if we give it to Bhagwan and he takes care of it, then we won't be tortured by it anymore. Sarpaha. Then, obviously, the snake represents fear. All fears that we have Bhagwan will bestow upon us fearlessness, not only in our regular life, but we know that the ultimate fearlessness, abhayam pratishtham vindate, that absolute fearlessness comes in the kingdom of the self. When I know myself in my true nature, then I have no reason for fear again. Because dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati. There's no second to be afraid of. So when I realize the Lord as my own self, then there's no fear anymore. And the last meaning, this is from Swami Sarupanandaji, is that the snake is most detested. It's most vile. It's venomous. Nobody likes it. It's a pest. Out of compassion, Bhagwan takes that and uses that as an adornment. See who he's surrounded by. Bhuta, Pishach, all of his ganas are crazy people. So we can say, Bhagwan, there's one more crazy person right here. Please accept me. I am just as terrible as that snake. Have compassion on me. Have compassion on me. Keep me close to you and help me. Okay, that's Sarpahik Bhushita Kandhakarana Vivare. Guruji is so cute. He was saying, imagine Lord Shiva has an almari, a cabinet, and it's full of snakes of all sizes. A little one he puts as a ring, as earrings. Big ones he puts around his neck. Medium-sized one on his arms. Very cute. Okay. We did Netrotha Vaishvanare. Dantitvakrita Sundaram Baradhare. So why is Bhagwan wearing the skin of an elephant? So in Shiva Puran, there's a story. There's a Gajasura, an asura in the form of an elephant, and he could only be killed by somebody without desire. So naturally, Lord Shiva was the one to kill him. But this asura, right in the moments before his death, he became Bhagwan's devotee. And he said, Bhagwan, please keep me always with you. Wear me as your vastra. I always want to be with you. Now I love you. And Bhagwan said, wonderful. Yes, tathastu. And that asura, because Bhagwan fulfilled his vara, his wish, is now always with Bhagwan. That shows Bhagwan's such forgiving nature, beautiful nature. Who can be like that other than our Bhagavan, who can forgive an asura out to kill him? Says, no, okay, you can be with me forever. That is Dantitva Krita Sundaram Bharadhare. Then Trailokya Sare, the essence of the three worlds. Of course, Bhuvaha, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, three worlds. Bhagwan is that ultimate reality that supports all the three worlds. But for us, Bhagwan is the Lord of our three states. Anytime we see three worlds, we should always think three states. Our waking, dream, deep sleep. Who is the one who witnesses and controls all of that? That is Bhagwan. Then Hare, the one who removes all sorrows, all wrong notions, everything wrong about us, Bhagwan, Hare. He's the one who takes that away. So again here, now we have an example of what we should do. We should contemplate on Bhagwan. Again, each of these words can point out to Bhagwan's nirguna nature, and they also point out to Bhagwan's saguna nature. Each word, if you see, each word can point out to both. So we should see that not only can we can contemplate on Bhagwan in so many ways. We can fix our mind on his form, like Gurudev did as a child, try to bring that form in perfection in our mind. Or we can focus on the different leelas of Bhagwan. That also is a way to contemplate on Bhagwan. That also is indicated here. We can also contemplate on Bhagwan as the absolute self. Each of these things can show or indicate the self. Chandra can indicate the self. The one who destroys desire, that is the self, that indicates the self. Ganga Maya represents self-knowledge. Sham Karoti, the one that is all auspiciousness, that is the self. If you see each one, each word suddenly, each name subtly indicates the self. So this is also, we can see an example of Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha, but in a different way. We can see, again, form, formless coming together. Then, mokshartham kuru chitta vritti makhilam. Chitta vritti makhilam, Guruji said, with any field where we want success, we need to bring the mind at a focal point. We have to learn how to focus. any field. So the spiritual field is no different. If we want to attain spiritual success, we should learn how to accumulate all of our mental energies and drive it as fast and as firmly as we can towards the self, towards Bhagavan. And what we will get is moksha. Moksha. So I will, because this verse is describing Bhagwan's form and how beautiful it is, I'm going to take another verse from Shiva Aparadha Stotram that is most beautiful, that has the exact same idea as this. This is verse number 24. Shmashaneshva krida smarahara pishacha sahacharaha चिताभस्मालेपः स्रगपिनकरोटी परिकरः अमाङ्गल्यं शीलं तव भवतु नामैवमखिलं तथापि स्मर्तॄणां वरद परमं मङ्गलमसि. Most beautiful. It says this. Bhagwan, Tava amangalyam shilam bhavatu. You are most inauspicious in your conduct. You actually are so inauspicious. What do? Shmashaneshu krida. You play in the crematorial grounds. Smarahara, this is the name of Bhagwan. Pishachaha sahacharaha. Your friends are all ghosts and demons. Chita bhasma lepaha. That chitagni, that the crematorial fire, those ashes you wipe all over your body. And sragapi nikaroti parakara, your mala is made out of human heads. You are amangalyam shilam tava bhavatu nama. You are really our most amangala in your conduct. Tathapi, still, smartranam, for those who remember you, Paramam Mangalamasi. You bestow, you are the absolute auspiciousness. You are the absolute good. And you give it to them. Just smartrana when they remember you. That is Lord Shiva. Most beautiful, most enchanting. We're so lucky to have him here. On the complete contradiction, on the outside, very strange. But because of his nature, see how we all love him? That's enough proof that he is the way he is. Paramam Mangalamasi. Paramam Mangalam, not only do you give everything what people need, but you give them your own self through self-knowledge. That is the idea that is presented in this verse 11. So, what is the reflection this week? Haha, now no more reflection. Now we are going to do. It's Prayashchitta time for us. We will now do what is said in verse 11. So first, we should reflect on anyaistu kim karma bhi. We should think, why is it nothing in the world is worth it? We should think critically. And then after we do that, we should spend some time with Bhagavan, however you like. No rules, just some time. Having thought first about why I am doing this, that nothing else is worth it in the world. Not that, Bhagavan, I'm putting you for 5 minutes, just this is your quota for the day. No, Bhagavan, you are the most important thing in the day. You are my number one priority. After determining that, then to spend time however we like, in contemplation, in japa, in puja, every day. This is the sadhana for the week. And I hope you all enjoy. That's it for class today. After class, we have some announcements, so please stay back just 15 minutes. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.